The next item on our agenda this evening is under Finance and Operations. It is our annual food services report. Each year, an annual report on the status of the food services program in the district is provided by Ms. Beth Nichols, who is our Director of Food Services, to the committee. The report is included in our materials, but we will hear a presentation from Ms. Nichols this evening. So welcome, and thank you for joining us as always.
Mr. Palich, if I could just make a brief introductory comment.
Certainly, Mr. Collins. Go ahead.
Thank you. And that is that this is an annual report that Ms. Nichols has provided to you, and upon her suggestion, which I think was a good one, was typically presented in June and had some forecasting information about financials at year end, and she suggested, and I think it's a great idea, that we wait until the prior year is closed and have complete information. And so that's why she is here in September. She has provided a very detailed written report and has a lot of information in this PowerPoint as well, but we'll summarize it, and we hope to be able to answer any questions that you have at the end of the presentation.
Thank you. The Food Service Department offers a lunch program for grades K through 12. Lunch costs $3.25 at the elementary, $3.50 at the middle school, $3.75 at the high school. I'm not recommending any price increase for this year. We haven't raised prices in 3 years. We offer a breakfast program at Coolidge, the middle school and high school, a kindergarten and preschool snack program. We still offer an after-school meal program at the high school. We offer vending and catering services. This year, we'll have our 3-year program review by DESE, Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. The emphasis will be on procurement, whether we're meeting federal and state guidelines. Staff, there's myself, an administrative assistant, and 46 union employees. We had quite a few staffing changes in June. Our high school manager retired. Our Oak Middle School manager, Lisa Phipps, was promoted to the high school manager position. Patty Sanick, who was a Patton Elementary manager, was promoted to Oak Middle School. Jen Potter went from being a manager at Beale to a larger elementary school, Patton. One of our cooks at Oak Middle School, Lisa Burney, was promoted to be a manager at Beale. And we were actually very fortunate to hire a cook from the Worcester Public Schools who also served as a manager, so she's an excellent addition. We did the changes in June so there'd be less of an impact in September when it's so busy. So it was a really smooth opening for these new managers and staff. Staffing is a real challenge. We open the school year with 8 openings. It's difficult to fill full-time, part-time, and substitute positions. We're continuing to mentor a Framingham State University student. They come 5 days in the fall, and then they join us for 9 weeks. They're really valuable to the program. This year, we will do our union contract negotiations. A little bit of legislative updates. New free and reduced eligibility benefits are effective immediately. There used to be a 10-day grace period. So if you were, say, free last year, you reapply this year, you become full price or reduced, the benefit is effective immediately. Schools are now allowed to serve 1% flavored milk and no longer has to be skim. Schools can now serve grains that are not whole grains. Sodium targets, which were supposed to be lowered each school year, are going to stay the same. They're not going to be lowered. There was difficulty purchasing products that met the new targets. There's also a bill in committee to include commodity assistant dollars for school breakfast programs. There's a proposed rule to lessen the hiring standards for food service directors. Apparently there's a shortage in the country. The USDA is no longer going to charge us an assessment fee on commodities, so that's a good savings for us. We were charged storage fees for any commodities that came in through the state warehouse. We currently use Meal Magic as our point of sale system in all the schools in the district. Last year, almost $1 million was added by parents to online accounts for students. Elementary parents have expressed concern over snack a la carte purchases this past year. So we're looking at ways to give parents control over what their students purchase. Currently, there's only two options in Meal Magic. There's cash only for a la carte, or you can prohibit all a la carte. Cash only for a la carte might provide parents with a little more flexibility. The challenge is that all items are either a reimbursable meal or a la carte. So if you prohibited snack purchases, a child would not even be allowed to purchase a milk, a water, or a juice. Parents also cannot access parental controls with the current online vendor being used. We're very aware that the town is looking at ways to make the town greener and more sustainable. So we've undertaken a few new actions to help with sustainability in our program. We've eliminated all straws. Plastic utensils that contain expanded polystyrene have been eliminated and replaced with utensils that contain no styrene. We've also eliminated all our plastic to-go containers that contained expanded polystyrene and replaced them with containers that had no polystyrene in them. We've started an assessment to look at putting dishwashers back in the schools. Only Floral has the physical footprint. All other schools would have to be significantly expanded to accommodate a dishwasher. We'll shortly get the cost for an installation at Floral. It would require 2 more 19-hour positions at the school, which would be challenging, given our staffing challenges. Also, I'm going to go to visit 1 to 2 school districts that are currently doing composting to see if that would possibly be an option for our district. I get a lot of questions about what is a reimbursable meal. The USDA requires schools to offer 5 meal components at lunch: protein, grain, milk, fruit, and vegetable. Students must take 3 components, one of which has to be a fruit or vegetable to qualify that as a reimbursable lunch. The USDA requires schools to offer 3 meal components at breakfast: grain, milk, and fruit or vegetable. Protein does not have to be offered, and the student must take the grain, milk, and a fruit or vegetable for breakfast to be considered reimbursable. All components have a required minimum size. No maximum, but there's a minimum. Full-price students can decline components, and then the meal is entered as a non-reimbursable meal. Student is still charged the same meal price. Free and reduced students can decline required components also, but the meal is entered as non-reimbursable, but then they are charged full price for a meal. So free and reduced students have to take all the components to qualify for a reduced or free meal. For breakfast, we are reimbursed 31 cents for a paid breakfast, $1.49 for a reduced breakfast, $1.84 for a severe needs reduced breakfast, $1.79 for free, and $1.84 for severe needs. Coolidge School qualifies as a severe needs school. For lunch, we're reimbursed 43 cents for every paid reimbursable meal, $3.03 for every reimbursable reduced lunch, and $3.43 for every reimbursable free lunch. Last year, we earned $688,000 in reimbursements. That's about a quarter of our revenue. We also earned commodity entitlement dollars. So for every reimbursable lunch, breakfast does not qualify, we earn 23.5 cents. Our entitlement dollars for this year were $143,135. I was able to use approximately $94,000 to purchase commodity, what is called brown box, frozen fruits, frozen vegetables, cases of cheese, cases of turkey. We spent $35,000 diverting products to chicken and beef products, taco meat, chicken patties, chicken fillets. And I was also able to use $36,000 for Department of Defense Fresh Fruit and Produce, which is excellent. We were only allowed to contribute 17% of those dollars. We could contribute more because they really helped drive our program, offering the students, fresh fruits and vegetables. Our district free and reduced has been increasing over the years. Last year we were at 16%. We saw a 2% increase for last year. That may be because we now do direct certification of reduced price students. In the past, the state only provided us with a list of free direct certified, so that may be driving some of our increased participation in that program. Our participation has been increasing over the years. We're up to 45% in 18. Free decreased slightly. Reduced has been stable, and paid participation has also been increasing. Our revenues are trending up. Meal sales are increasing. A la carte sales are increasing. Vending has decreased slightly. Adult sales are increasing, and catering sales have been steady. Reimbursements increase as meal sales increase. Last year we did $2,109,056 in revenue. That revenue did not reflect a June claim. Past years, the June claim usually is reflected in revenue. We had another, our June claim was approximately $40,000. We earned $160,392 in surplus income, but also, again, that claim of $40,000 normally would have been reflected. So we were at about $209,000 in surplus revenue. Our beginning account balance was $285,268. With our year-end surplus, we started this fiscal year with a beginning account balance of $445,660. Revenue increased from 17 to 18, $152,663,000, and again, it doesn't reflect that $40,000 June claim. Food cost actually decreased to 41% this year versus 42% last year. So staff is doing a really good job handling food waste, purchasing, meal prep. I mean, they're serving kids things that they want to eat. Our labor cost also increased to 34% last year as compared to 40%. And again, that percentage is decreasing because our sales are increasing. That also included $136,000 in health insurance benefits. We paid full benefits for all our employees that take health insurance. Our other costs increased slightly from 9% to 10% last year, but we did made a lot of equipment purchases. We purchased almost $44,000 in equipment to replace old equipment. Our revolving account balance as of July 1st this year, as I said, was $445,660. Our account balance cannot be greater than 3 months of operating expense. That's a federal regulation. Based on what we spent in 18 on operating expenses, our revolving account cannot exceed $544,599. So we're almost at a point that we have to spend money. Next, this current year, we will continue to purchase equipment that needs to be replaced. We've also spent a lot of time evaluating equipment at the high school. because the equipment that was put in 20 years ago cannot handle the increased population. So we've bought a new steam well, we've gotten new refrigerators, we're looking at an expanded, another expanded hot well. And I'm also looking at maybe the potential of hiring a district chef. I think that's something, if we're able to afford it at some time, would really drive the quality of our program, and it'd be great to do more scratch cooking and have our staff trained. My goals are continue to, have a high quality program, nutrition program for all students, increase program participation rates, to be financially stable, and explore using Twitter. I've heard so many wonderful things about Twitter accounts. And again, explore maybe hiring a district chef for the district. And lastly, I'd love to invite you all for lunch at any of the schools, just so you could see the program. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions and comments from colleagues. Dr. McGee.
Great presentation. I'm curious from a point of view of how many students take advantage of our food services. I'm looking at your total number of lunches and breakfasts, and I'm guessing if there are 180 school days or something along those lines, that we're serving breakfast to like 100 students or less?
Our breakfast participation is about 2%.
Yeah. Do we have any sort of survey to give us a sense as to how many students eat breakfast at home or whether they're missing it?
I've never done that. Most of the like Coolidge does well. When I've talked to parents at the middle schools, they feel that kids don't have time by the time they get off the bus. Schools that have really successful breakfast programs allow students to take breakfast back to the classroom. It may be something we want to explore.
Interesting. Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Fritz.
When you talk about the district chef position and possible scratch cooking, would that help with anyone who has allergies, or is that something that can be accommodated better and they could eat within the schools?
I don't think it would really make a difference because we can, right now we're able to accommodate allergies. I just think it might be, with a chef, we would do scratch cooking. There'd be less like added sodium, preservatives.
Right. Do you know what the typical salary is for that type of a position?
No, I don't.
Yeah. But you're exploring it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
There aren't that many districts that have district chefs.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Mr. Winsky.
Great presentation. I think it's important for the public to know this is a department that funds itself, right? We don't talk about this as a line item under the budget that we talk about every year, and definitely, certainly healthy-looking budget when you look at the surplus. That's really great to see. What I was also impressed with, and I'd like to see, was the sustainability steps that we've taken.
Right.
Towards the end of last year, we talked about the polystyrene. It seems like we've started to take steps to minimize and reduce our use of polystyrene, and clearly there's no impact on the cost on doing that because we're not recommending an increase in the lunches, right? I think that's important to note too, and that's 3 consecutive years. So certainly taking some steps in the direction of sustainability. I thought that was great. So yeah, well, thank you for the presentation.
Mrs. Gonzalo.
I noticed that you are having difficulty finding people for the jobs, and I was wondering why you think that is, and if there's something we can do as a district to attract more applicants.
I think, the unemployment rate is low, so there's not that job pool. Our pay rates are low. They're close to a starting rate of minimum wage. They're difficult jobs. It's a lot of physical labor.
Sure.
It's hot in the kitchens. I think we're going to have to pay more to attract a labor pool.
Jim?
Dr. McGee.
So along those same lines, we started the year off 46 positions, 8 open.
Correct.
What is the turnover in a year of those 46 positions, of the ones who are occupied at the beginning of the year? How many of those are new, or less
It's
than a year?
high. We're trending to 8 to 10 replacements every year. Where when I started, there were years no one left the department.
Right.
So you've got 15-20% turnover, and a 15% or so vacancy rate.
Correct.
Yeah. And there's a cost to that, I
Yeah.
imagine, as well. In point of view of the work you have to go through to find people.
Yeah, it puts a lot of stress on the current staff. Too by the USDA, so yeah, it's expensive.
Now, I noticed you mentioned, you said we pay full benefits, including health insurance. Do you mean there's no payroll deduction if they take health insurance, or do you?
No, the employee pays their share,
Okay.
but we reimburse the town for the town share in full.
Okay.
And in other words, the town's, line item budget, which covers the town share for school department employees, does not include the food services employees.
Right,
That's-
completely independent.
Right.
Yeah. Amazing.
Colleagues, anything further? Thank you for the work. No, I have a question myself. Sorry, I didn't mean to sound so final. Thank you for the work that you and your department do. As was mentioned, these are difficult jobs, and certainly your team interact with students each and every day in a way that sometimes makes or breaks their day. So thank you for your work. I did have a question on the point of sale issue, and first of all, thank you for addressing that, because I do know that has been a concern with some elementary parents. I just was wondering if you could expand or clarify a little bit the option for the parents to go in and set a la carte transactions to either cash only or prohibited. Is that currently in place or something that's being explored for future?
It's currently in place with the POS system, but our school district does not use the online vendor that Meal Magic offers that option through. So we would have to have two vendors in the town for online transactions, one for food service. Then parents could log into their accounts and opt, cash only for snacks. There's actually quite a few parental restrictions available. You also could get a much more detailed account balance where you don't get that much through Power School.
So this isn't something that's in place now. This is something we're exploring?
The POS system has the capability, but our online vendor does not mesh. So if we were right now to change our online vendor, parents would have that option. But it's something, we've got to discuss as a district, because I think the
Okay.
goal was one-stop shopping, to make it more convenient.
Got it.
If I could just add
Go
to
ahead,
that
Mr.
too,
Collins.
is that, so what we are, in lieu of, changing or adding a second online payment provider, which has its own set of implications, as Ms. Nichols just mentioned, we'd be veering away from the kind of the one-stop shop model. What we are exploring is a different means for parents to notify us of signaling that they want to restrict and we're still exploring that. How can we best serve that need? And it does seem to be primarily at the elementary school level where that issue has risen. So I do think that we'll be able to pilot something and expand something soon. We're just kind of still further in discussion about how to best do that without creating lots of administrative work out of Ms. Nichols' office trying to manage that. I think the other point that's probably worth clarifying is, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but the Meal Magic system, just hypothetically, if we were to go and use that route and have two separate payment providers, parents would have to have a separate login for the Meal Magic system than they would for the parent portal, because all the online payments are now through the parent portal. And so that comes with a whole set of other implications about communicating to parents that we've changed systems and everybody has to have a different login and whatnot. But I think the level of detail that parents would be able to see is really restricted just to, a meal or an a la carte item, as opposed to, Johnny bought strawberry Pop-Tarts. Am I not? So, the level of detail would say Johnny bought a meal and Johnny bought a 75-cent a la carte item, or Johnny bought a 50-cent a la carte item. It's not going to describe the item in detail, because the point of sale system, as you can imagine, is basically a computer system. You've got dozens of kids waiting. We have our major issue with school lunch is, one of our major issues is throughput.
Yep.
getting large numbers of kids through a single cash register in a very short period of time. So the point of sale system is a touchscreen system, and basically our cashiers are, clicking an icon that says reimbursable meal or a la carte item for 50 cents.
And I think
Or
it's
a la carte
important
item
to
for
note,
75 cents.
we're not scanning items like in a supermarket. We have a staff member individually punching in
Correct.
what this is.
Right.
I mean, we made a decision. I mean, we could have programmed as much as we want. We could have had pages and pages of screens, but we really want to get the kids through. So where there's less buttons, it's so much faster.
Right?
Let Mr. Collins finish.
Yeah, and I think this actually, it kind of brings it back to the close of the presentation, and we'd love to have you come for lunch one day at one of our schools, and the committee members can see firsthand the great program that's offered and some of these issues like the a la carte issue, and enjoy some lunch.
I appreciate your focus on that issue. I know, again, that's been a concern for parents, and I know obviously it's difficult with students that young, navigating their own meal choices. What the kid did or didn't do or take can become an issue at home, so appreciate your attention to that. Mr. Wensky, did you have something to add?
Yeah, this is probably an offline conversation, but so we've received feedback about this need, right? I guess is why we're talking about it, like it's okay.
Yes.
So I guess assessing that volume, I'm just going.
We've also, if
Back to work.
parents have gotten in touch with me and
Okay.
requested a hold,
Sure.
I have put holds. So far this year, we've only had 2 parents.
Yeah, so I guess I guess you just need to weigh, how significant the need is versus, as we talk about additional logins and additional integrations with systems and all that, I guess you just need to think through the value that we'd be adding to this, especially if maybe you can't see the level of detail that, these, I'm going to call them customers, they want to see, through Power School or whatever, but I'd just be curious to hear more about that.
Sure.
And I know that there's been some social media dialogue, and certainly for anyone watching at home, I would encourage them to contact Ms. Nichols directly to discuss any concerns. Is probably the most efficient way to have any of those addressed. Just one other comment that I wanted to make, and then I'll turn it over to Dr. Sawyer. I do want to express my appreciation for the focus on sustainability as well. I know that there have been increased conversations with the community around that since, in particular, over the last few months with the discussions on polystyrene. I'm impressed with what you've been able to do at basically no cost in a relatively short amount of time. So thank you for that focus, and love to see that continue to be a goal of the department. So thank you for your work. Dr. Sawyer.
Let me add my thanks to Ms. Nichols and her team, and I do have the opportunity to eat lunch at the schools relatively frequently, and did just yesterday. And again, the quality is high, and it's something that it's good to see the trend moving in the direction of more participation. That's a good thing. Clearly, one thing that I think is inherent in the presentation, this is we're a highly regulated organization educationally. Maybe the most regulated part of our whole operation is food services. I mean, the number of rules from the state and federal level are pretty remarkable. And so appreciate Ms. Nichols' ability to navigate those things. Of course, we have even local responsibilities to the local Board of Health and, food safety. And I do appreciate the level of training that the staff receive in terms of Serve Safe and the continued focus on allergies. As someone who has a food allergy myself, that's something that is greatly appreciated. In terms of the customer service aspect, it is that balancing of, people are used to more and more, seeing things on demand and high degrees of detail. And certainly we want to try to provide what we can to our families. And I am hopeful that we'll have a solution that may not be as detailed as parents would like, but, maybe we're able to give parents back a little bit more control if they seek it. And I think we're piloting some things right now, and that's something that I'm hoping in the very near future we'll be able to execute around for those who do have that concern. But in terms of like anything else we do, the most important element are the people. And one of the things that I appreciate when I visit cafeterias in our schools is the positive, engaging way that the cafeteria staff, the way they interact with our students, in the way that they work really hard to try to provide for their needs. And I know there's lots of examples of them going the extra mile to help make things work for kids and for staff as well. So thank you to all of them and to you, Ms. Nichols, for the presentation and for the ongoing work.
Thank you.